Hello and welcome to today's review of the Transformers Studio series Lockdown. Now, I don't specify that this is from Age of Extinction purely because Lockdown was only in one movie and only has one studio series toy. However, I do think it is due an update given the fact that this figure was only a deluxe class and doesn't really tick all the boxes that I think a good Lockdown should. You know, given the fact that he's definitely not as big as he needs to be, they should have made him a Voyager class at a minimum. But Carbot Voyagers, they don't really get made. But yeah, you know, he's too small. However, the robot mode is like beautifully detailed. That's something common across a lot of movie toys and studio series. If we want to talk specifically modern Hasbro, the studio series does have like a pretty high level of sculpt work going on for the actual figures themselves, but you know it comes at a cost, because if you're putting so much effort into actually getting the figures to look good, you might suffer on the engineering front, you know, or maybe your articulation's just going to be lacking. This guy is one of those examples. Both the engineering across the board for the transformation and the articulation aren't the greatest thing in the world. The articulation specifically is pretty disappointing. And he comes with two weapons. He comes with this blade, which is cool. He desparks characters with this. He comes with his hook, which is really nice. The hook can fit over the hand like so. It's kind of inconvenient because he can't turn his hand around to actually hook people. You know, wrists could have done this figure a world of good, or they could have just had this designed differently, you know. I mean, the blade, he could hold it in his hand, you know, if that's the way you want to go. But me, personally, and this is how I believe it's supposed to go, you just plug it into the forearm, like so. You know, it does look cool and they are nicely done. I just don't think the practicality of the hook is something to write home about, because, yeah, it just doesn't really work how I think it should. But anyway, before we move on to articulation, let's look at our size comparison. Here we have Evasion Optimus Prime, Hasbro's original Age of Extinction Lockdown, Kingdom Huffer, Ralph, Steve. Now, generally, Lockdown looks solid, you know, he looks solid with Optimus Prime, but he's still far too small. Compare him to the original Hasbro Age of Extinction Lockdown, and, I mean, I like this toy. The colours are completely wrong. I've got the Takara version, which is the correct grey, part of the movie best toy line, but that's a topic for a versus video. That will be the next versus video once I get round to reviewing the other mold. Now, anyway, he's just too small, you know, he does tower above a Minibot Deluxe. Both of these are Deluxes, kind of let that sink in, you know, there is a bit of variance in height. Most of the size classes have some level of variance in height now. Even back in the day, you know, it was kind of that way, but swings and roundabouts, really, you know, can't do an awful lot about it. But at the end of the day, Lockdown is just too small. So we're going to zone back in. For the articulation on this guy, shoulders are going all the way around. Now, due to this backpack assembly, it is really awkward, and the sculpting on the shoulder prevents the arm from going all the way around unless you really wiggle it outwards. So no, I'm not going to say it does go all the way around, because you really have to put in the extra work to get the joint to work, which isn't really fair. The kind of joint at the top of the arm, it's kind of his bicep joint, but he does kind of have one of those at the elbow as well. But it does go all the way around, but due to transformation, it has points where it clicks into place, and so it's really stiff. So it does work, but it's very awkward. The elbows pull a 90, and because it's a ball joint, they can go all the way around, but due to sculpted detailing, you know, there is a little bit of a clearance problem. The head has brilliant movement all the way back, moves down like kind of barely nothing where it can see a down movement, but a little bit of confused dog left and right, and it swivels all the way around. No, the collar just doesn't let you do that. Never mind. Hooray for ball joints. It's just the sculpted detailing on the collar that makes that terrible. The waist is basically ineffective. It goes that much each way. It does not go much further. Like, you can't get it all the way around. It's pretty damn tight, and it has points where it seems to lock. So yeah, it's not fun to play with. All of this figure's joints are not really fun to handle. So yeah, kicks up at 90. There you go, once it goes into focus. Kicks back really badly due to the backpack. The legs can barely go outwards. Like, that is kind of disappointing. The thigh swivel is a full 360. The knee bend is a 90. And there is a toe bend upwards for transformation. Overall, it's very not good, really. You know, he's got a lot of normal joints that you might hope for, but most of them aren't good. You know, they're just really difficult to work with. So for transformation anyway, we're going to turn these bicep pieces around, swing the arm around, lock this into place, like so. Going to take these missile pods, fold them underneath, tab the other arm in. Next up, we're going to bring this up, fold the head into the chest, accordion this front part of the car out, go around to the legs, turn it to bicep, bicep, whatever, far swivel, right, tab the back of the car together, like so. There you go, those panels do fold out really nicely, which is something to praise. Then we're going to bring this section back, it's on this armature right here. We're going to take these grave panels, fold them outwards, line it all up so it's all nice and kind of just nicely tabbed together, right? There you go, like so. And we're going to take the arms, we're going to line these grooves and the shoulders up with the front sections of the car. And we're going to give it a good old squish. That is the best way I can find to make this work. I don't think it's good engineering at all. Like, no transformer should have the kind of, oh yeah, just squish it all together. I think that's terrible. And hey, in this case, if the missile pods are not folded round, you cannot tap the car together. So overall, it does hold together really nicely. It's just the process of getting here isn't the nicest thing. But hey, for the alt mode size comparison, here we have Alternator Swindle, Lego Car, Studio Series Brawn, Ralph, Steve. Now the kind of comparison between this and all the other vehicles. Now, Jeep Boy over here, Swindle, is a lot bigger. I don't know entirely how I feel about the difference, but Jeeps are big, right? So you know it's probably okay. Lego Car is shorter in length, but proportionately he's a lot taller, right? So it kind of levels out there. And then finally Brawn. Well, both are Deluxes, right? Two different kinds of vehicles. But one is G1, one's like a movie verse, meant to be a realistic car. Meant to be a Lamborghini, for that matter, but they couldn't get the license. So it's just closely resembling an Aventador without getting sued. So yeah, I'm not bothered about how these two scale specifically, purely because they're two completely different continuities. They serve different purposes. And the minifigures look perfectly fine with the car. You know, Steve is a bit taller than the Lambo, which I think is reasonably expected. Lambos aren't the tallest vehicles in the world. So yeah, cool stuff. Sadly, this isn't an alternator or anything, so you can't put anyone in here, but whatever. This would have been really cool if they had like a really nice Lamborghini in the alternator line, but whatever. Generally, the car mode is solid. It's mostly what appears to be molded, like this grey plastic, gunmetal, whatever, black windscreen parts. Cool. It's a screwed-in insert, so don't worry about the breakages. These back panel sections, the like air vent bits, those are all clear plastic as well. Wheels are pinned. That's a plus. And then it's just a guy lying down underneath, but whatever. You know, it's could be worse. So overall, the general kind of rankings on this guy, he's a complicated matter, really. I think aesthetically, both modes look really solid, you know, besides the door arms on the robot mode and the backpack being a little bit big. I do think it's like a 9, you know, it does look really nice. However, the functionality of this figure getting into the transformation, it's just not good. I don't like the whole idea of having to squish something together to get everything to go into place. You shouldn't have to do that, you know? But whatever. The transformation, as a result, is just probably going to be a 6. It's not the worst thing I've ever handled on this channel. I mean, I've not handled anything egregious, but it's not really fun, though it is simple. Then, you know, the articulation on this guy, he has most of the normal joints, but they all function really badly, so he just gets a 4. You know, he's below average because he has the joints and they just don't really work. You know, things like the head not being able to go all the way around due to the collar, the bicep swivels not working properly due to all the different points where they lock into place. Yeah, the legs don't kick out or backwards that much. It's very problematic. And value for money on this guy. This guy is not worth his aftermarket price. I got this guy for, I really don't remember, maybe it was like 25 a few years ago. Got him secondhand from someone, and oh man, this is the most disappointed I had ever been with a Transformer prior to receiving it. Like, I saw this figure and was like, oh my god, that's so cool, I need to find one. And I struggled and struggled and struggled to find one. And then I got him and I was like, that's it, alright. So yeah, that is the story of Studio Series Lockdown. This has been AnimatedCHUG. Thank you for watching. Also, sorry, value for money, right. Sidetracked. Value for money on this guy is probably just going to be a 6, I guess. It's solid. Just based off of the fact that both modes look good. Everything else about him kind of sucks. And at least he was before Deluxes were like £25 a piece at retail. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.